Welcome to the 80th edition of the United Nations General Assembly right here in New York City. As High Level Week begins, Arise News sits down with the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina J. Mohammed. As world leaders gather for a pivotal week in diplomacy and decision-making, we'll discuss the challenges and opportunities facing global sustainable development. Now, as Nigeria and Africa continue to play a central role on the world stage, let's explore this path towards the United Nations goal of a better global future. We are, of course, celebrating this year's General Assembly under the umbrella of this 80th anniversary. And we look at how checkered the world is. We're seeing conflict across the Middle East, in Eastern Europe, in Africa. And we can juxtapose that with the triumphs, with the victories, with the promises made, the promises kept, the targets achieved. So if I were, with respect, because I know you are far younger than the organization, but if I were to ask you to look back, what would you say the United Nations' greatest achievement is, and how is the organization adapting to these changes around the world?
Well, it is surreal times, and we are faced with enormous crises, geopolitical tensions, and whatever we say, people are feeling the pain and people are losing. But there's still an enormous amount of hope, because as you look back, what founded this incredible institution was the Charter, very much about we the people, very much about peace. The Declaration of Human Rights, it really told us that these 5 rights are indivisible, but they're progressive. They're in our constitutions today. And so looking back and coming forward, you are seeing the many times we thought that there was to be no resolve, whether it was from the Cold War, or it was from HIV and AIDS, or more recently, COVID. And in all of that, we found solutions to them. And we are better for it. But as we are better for things, so worse comes along climate change. Climate change, it's not that we have not had climate changing over the years, but it has become more intense. It has become one crosses borders that you can do nothing about, making us realize that the global responsibility for this lies in all of us.
Being in your presence, it is a source of pride for me as a Nigerian and an African. And when we look at the African continent, we see that a lot of attention is shifting on looking at Africa as a driver of global change. So when we're looking at the efforts of the organization, in which ways is the United Nations ensuring that Africa is not just responding to global economic agenda, but really being the ones shaping it?
Well, I mean, for a long while, the lens on Africa was as a recipient. But no, we're owners of this going concern called the United Nations. And we're a big part of it. More recently, we had the Pact for the Future, which really consolidated on its commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. It brought in the issues of the new era of technology and AI. It talked for a new peace architecture, looking at the global architecture for finance, so we get a better deal in the world. Talked about future generations, young people, and so much more. It was at a point that it was in crisis that we perhaps wouldn't have got it across the line, but it's Africa that took it across the line, because determined that this mattered not just for the continent, but for the rest of the world. And so the leadership of Africa was no longer just this is because I'm a recipient, but this is because this matters for 193 countries, it matters for 8 billion people. That one pact, I think, is what we are seeing being implemented. More recently, no one thought we would get an agreement on finance in Seville in Spain. Yes. Again, Africa's leadership, and in bringing about the issues that matter to us most. We are leading the G20 right now. Debt was almost not on the agenda, but with the African voice in the UN, we were able to bring it to Seville, and it's very majorly on the agenda for the G20, and many now looking to some of the outcomes from Seville that will create many vehicles for us to move forward on those agendas. So you are right, we are shaping, but we're also demanding responses to areas of concern for us on climate, on finance, on peace and security.
The Global Africa Business Initiative, it is an event that we look forward to when we come to UNGA, definitely. And when we're looking at this year's edition, what can we look forward to at Gabi this year?
Well, I think first things first, we said it was Unstoppable Africa. So, stop looking at Africa with pity and with handouts. It's about young people, that the largest cohort we've had, really looking for those spaces to say how we're going to do it. And if you want to come and join us, then let's do it. This is an international gathering, so it's not about just Africa and Africa. It's us being here in an international community. What have we got to look forward to this year? First and foremost, we are oversubscribed by 3-4 times. And I think that says to you there's an appetite and a certain energy there for wanting to get into those rooms and to have these discussions. It's a massive networking opportunity, whether it's with government, with other CEOs, with young people. And, we've crafted it around most of the important issues of investment.
Yes.
So you're going to be meeting people that are going to talk about investment in the energy transitions, investment in food systems, investment in technology.
We are approaching a quarter century, 25 years of women, peace and security agenda. And when we're looking at not so much the implementation, but progress, it can be mixed in some instances at best. I do want to ask what the organization is doing to really prioritize and platform gender equality. And specifically when you look at WPS, or yes, Women and Peace and Security, where is the challenge there and what is being done to address its full implementation?
I mean, 2 great instruments that came out of the Security Council, Women, Peace and Security, Youth, Peace and Security. We've just been unable to implement them. And I think we've not made sufficient headway, because the role of women in mediation, in negotiations, in peace after the day, and what happens there on in healing, in investing in the recoveries, has happened without women. And unless people see us as more as ticking the box and having the numbers around the table, that we actually bring skill sets, that we are actually taking the brunt of those conflicts, and many young women too, I think it will not happen. So I think now what we need to do is that, really speak more to the leadership, make intentional actions that will put us at the table. Whether you are keeping the notes, you are negotiating the strategy, you are part of a peacekeeping force, you are the police force, you are the investments that need to be made in livelihoods, you're part of those, how you recover. I mean, as I said, women bear the brunt of war.
What message you have to world leaders at this year's edition of the United Nations General Assembly? What do you have to say to them?
All leaders need to do that. But there are specific leaders who have responsibilities, and they are in pretty small spaces of the UN, and a lot of expectations from them. Not just from member states within, but also from the 8 billion that we have out there. And there's a lot of suffering. That suffering doesn't have to be so. And as we say over and over again, men have to stand up and be held accountable. We're not in the crisis that we're in because we have women leaders. They're not there. They're very few. Today, we're very happy to have the President of the General Assembly, the 5th since our creation 80 years ago, that is a woman. Yes. That needs to happen on a more regular basis, so that the discussion about how we implement our charter, how we honor the Declaration of Human Rights, is one that is central to everything that we do. So 80 years on, leaders need to know, first and foremost, we need more women in the mix. But second, when you are here and you're occupying that space, you need to be held accountable, use your voice, use your muscle, use the skills that you have to bring people together.
As High-Level Week of UNGA 80 continues, the world shifts its focus to peace, security and sustainable development. With more focus on Africa's role in shaping global progress, the work of the United Nations remains critical in creating a more just and equitable world. For now, we leave you with insights from Amina J. Mohammed, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, as we look forward to the resolutions and collaborations to come during this important week. Adefemi Akinsanya, Arise News in New York City.